Justin, welcome.
Grateful to be here.
Justin, you're a best-selling author, entrepreneur, and you have connected with the world's top thinkers, doers, and leaders. In your latest book, Epic Journey, you share that your purpose in life is to connect visionaries to serve humanity. Tell us about the journey that led you to this purpose and what that translates into your everyday life.
Again, grateful to be here. That's a great first question. I really appreciate it. I found better questions lead to better answers, lead to better people. So better questions lead to better answers, lead to better people. So hopefully this interview leads to some really good questions, good answers, and then both of us and your audience become better through it. So I guess the way I started with that answer is kind of how I simplify everything in my life in human body terms. I'm 47 years old. And basically, since birth, I've been hanging out and talking with the world's top visionaries or people that desire to have a life like that. And then I just listen most of the time and then simplify what they say into a pattern or a lesson or a book or a connectivity company. And on a day-to-day level, it's just having conversations like this. To timestamp it, today's a Tuesday. Monday through Friday, I'll have 5 to 10 conversations like this, whether they're recorded or not, and I never get tired of it ever.
What have been the greatest lessons you have learned from all the visionaries that you have met? And why do you say that visionaries are adult children playing in adult kindergartens and they are all indigo in spirit?
Great simplification by you. Several of the chapters in the Epic Journey book there, so thank you for reading it and simplifying several chapters into a question. I really appreciate that. Visionaries are usually aliens within their own family, community, and vertical. Only people that understand visionaries are fellow aliens. Most of them are or have been troublemakers in things like school or religious services or anywhere. Little troublemakers, little kids. And then we have a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old, both boys. They're far more mature than I am. Far more mature. It's not even close. And our room, the company we've built, Epic Fit Network, is just like adult kindergarten. It's just a bunch of really smart, really successful, most very wealthy visionaries that are like little kids. They're like little kids just constantly wanting to play and play with other children. And then from a visionary slash actual perspective, kindergarten, the inventor of kindergarten in Prussia slash Germany, the Prussian government banned kindergarten a year before he died. So he begged the Prussian king, please don't ban kindergarten. Like, why would you ban kindergarten? And then fast forward several generations later, after he died, they reinstated kindergarten, and then fast forward several generations, one of his distant relatives runs one of the schools he started while he was alive. So a true visionary looks well beyond their own lifetime. So I think kindergarten and the inventor of kindergarten is a good example of a pure visionary.
Wonderful. And what do you believe is a secret to creative initiatives that truly serve humanity?
That's an interesting question. That's the second time some version of that question has been asked in the last couple weeks, and it's never been asked in my entire life. So it's interesting that it's the second time. But the secret is that there are no secrets. A visionary would never protect their secret because it doesn't come from them anyway. It comes from a higher power. And where you see people keeping secrets are in the business owner narcissistic space, where they're protecting things as opposed to genuinely helping people. They're protecting themselves over the benefit of society. So what I've learned is that the biggest secret is that there actually are no secrets for a pure visionary.
Since the podcast focuses on joy,
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you could share with us what is your definition of joy, and do you see a difference between joy and happiness?
I think joy is more spiritual, more faith-based. One of the books I'm reading now, never prepare for an interview. However, this time I did one brief preparation because I have read the Book of Joy by the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Tutu. I liked that book. I did like it. And they were talking about joy for several hundred pages. But the book I'm reading now is called The Book of Hope by Jane Goodall. And I believe Douglas Abrams also wrote, the co-author also helped write the Book of Joy. So that's actually interesting. But so anyway, so how Jane Goodall, for those who don't know, Jane Goodall, the famous animal scientist, went into African jungle for decades and studied apes and stuff. Just in case people didn't know, but so how Jane Goodall describes hope, and I'll just replace hope with joy in this case because I want to answer your question. Is hope is what enables us to keep going in the face of adversity. It is what we desire to happen, but we must be prepared to work hard to make it so. So I like that definition actually for joy. So joy is what enables us to keep going in the face of adversity. If it is what we desire to happen, but we must be prepared. But we must be prepared to work hard to make it so. So like that's the way I see joy.
If there would be a recipe for joy, what would be the three main ingredients it would contain?
Yeah, like a cook, like a chef. Looking for the recipe for the. I lead a very simple life. People from the outside think it's very complex, and I'm up to a lot of things, but really at the core, it's very simple. Very simple. I think the two main ingredients for joy are asking people, who do you love and what is your purpose? Who do you love and what is your purpose? So I love visionaries and connecting visionaries to serve humanity, and my family, like I have a family, biological or what, however you want to describe that, but my family's visionaries, and then so that brings me a lot of joy because I know who I love and I know what my purpose is.
And talking about your family in your latest book, Epic Journey, you share a lot of insights from your father that has clearly shaped your life.
Yeah.
You share also the tragic death of one of your brothers. Tell us more about how your family experiences have shaped who you are today and how you view life.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have found that if you don't know where you come from, it's hard to know where you are, and then it's really hard to know where you're going. So if you don't know where you come from, hard to know where you are, and it's really hard to know where you're going. So I really like to learn, and very grateful for the fact that I come from a long line of great historians who actually wrote down their experiences in life, and then it's like my own library, own family library. So I've been able to learn a lot about my family, and then just so I guess audience can understand, it's an unusual, I mean, one of the most, if not the most unusual family situations I can think of. I've actually never heard of a more unusual situation in that my father he was 61 when I was born, and my mom was 27, so 34-year difference. My father, a great deal of the book talks about him and his journey. He was a World War II hero, shot down multiple times in combat, many times without a parachute, and he would just get back into a plane. No excuses. His favorite quote was "The cream rises to the top," which I live by that quote very faithfully. And my mom, who's still alive, very grateful for that. She's like a telephone communication system into the past. So, like, if I ever have a question about my dad or part of his family or her family, I'll just be like, "Oh, I'll text her," and then she'll respond right away. So she has a great gift to open windows into the past.
Wonderful. And would you be open to share how the tragic loss of one of your brothers
Oh, of
has
course.
impacted you? Because I know in your book you also talk about life and death and
Yeah.
your views on that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Again, I'm 47, not really worried about dying at all in terms of living body death. It's really not up to me when that happens. And then there are two deaths. One living body death, that's self-explanatory, but I think the real death is when your consciousness goes away, or people don't follow your lessons or learn from your lessons. After you die. So like my dad died a long time ago, but he's still alive. The inventor of kindergarten, he's still alive. And then from a family perspective, my youngest brother Jerry, he died when he was 29. He was 29, drug overdose, opioids, and he died alone in a hotel room. A hotel room. They found him at least a day or two after he had died. Then the morning that my mom called me that he had died came right after I had worked like a 14 15-hour shift. I was a sports editor at the time at a newspaper, so I'd worked a 14 15-hour shift, producing this incredible basketball section, like a state finals basketball section, and was really proud of it. And it was we did great work as a team, and then to have a wake up call that your brother had died, a couple hours after waking up, that's literally like a wake up call, and then it's another type of wake up call. So I've always understood the value of life because my dad died when I was 13, and I know what it's like not to have a dad around. But having my brother die when he was not even 30, yeah. So I appreciate every day, and then I go. There's a book I've been reading also called Autobiography of a Yogi. A great book. And then some of those lessons in there. There's a video from one of his speeches I think it was in the 1930s or 1940s, and it's a good thing to listen to go to before bed because it talks about every day a million people die, and every day a million people die, and that affects 10 million people in their life. So if you wake up the next day, be grateful that you woke up. So it's really been a easy way to simplify alive today. So very happy to be here and be alive.
Talking about life, this brings me to your book, Epic Life. What inspired you to write that book?
Yeah, you had surgery right at the start of COVID, and that book was shaped during COVID. It was during COVID, and then it came out in the middle of 2022, so still COVID-ish. And that book's about how to build collaborative global companies while putting your loved ones first. So all I do is talk to visionaries, so not business owners or consultants or employees, just pure visionaries changing the world, and then talk to 1 to 2 of them every single week that have let entrepreneur life destroy their family life or prevented them from having a family. I know you have 2 children and a family, and during your surgery, you were more concerned about burdening them. So you understand what really matters. When you talk to 1 to 2 people every single week that have let this life destroy, meaningful things, that's probably not a good idea. So that book's really about how to put loved ones in your life first, whether that's actual family members, and which is true in my case, but also like my entrepreneurial family, like putting them first while building collaborative global companies, which is interesting in my case specifically because the Epic Fit Network is literally a collaborative global company connecting my family members, essentially, my visionary family members. So it aligns.
Wonderful. Can you tell us more about that, about your company? And I know you have multiple companies.
Well, again, family. So the main reason, strategy-wise, that the Epic Fit Network has done so well is that my wife is Dr. Sarah Breen. She's a pediatrician, but she's essentially phased out of pediatrics to run the company, and she's the main reason why the company's done so well and scaled. I guess, in business owner terms, she's a pure integrator, pure stabilizer. So because of her, our membership has grown. We have members all over the world. We have our own TV channel with 30 million reach for our members. We're starting an MBA program affiliated with Oxford University, and we have a philanthropic wing. And that's because of Sarah and our members partnering together. So one big family, and then I just sit off to the side and listen to what people need, and then just connect them. I barely ever talk at all during our meetings, which is great. I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about everyone else. One big family that keeps growing.
I love that. How beautiful. I want to go back to your book, Epic Journey, and I quote you say that the endless drive for more and more and more leaves less and less within the soul.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Well, it's a good learning lesson, I think, for anyone. Again, joy, happiness. I have found in my life, and then talking to mostly very wealthy people, when they're in search of more and more wealth, it's not actually joy. It's not who do you love, and it's not what your purpose is. It's how much money do you have, how many cars you have, how big your house is. It's material. And I have found building material is, I guess I describe it as like a mask. It's a pain path, just building a mask. And I talk to a lot of folks who say they're visionaries, but really they're just trying to build their own portfolio. And it's very painful. I can feel their pain because they're building something that they don't really want, but they think they need. And then I'm just on a pure purpose path, connecting visionaries to serve humanity. And then all these amazing things have happened because I'm not focused on material things at all. I just don't, I really never have cared about that stuff. And when I have focused on that, it led to the most unhappiness. So it was a good learning lesson for me personally. And then to see people who are going through that type of stuff and then trying to learn from it, and then others that are going through it and not learning at all, in fact tripling down on being miserable and gaining more and more. And I see how and I feel how it affects them. It's like their soul disappears. It's really interesting. And then I feel that pain very strongly.
This brings me to another insight that you have shared, which relates that a lot of the decisions that you make today start with your heart.
Yeah.
And I just want to get more deep into the details on how you open your heart. I know you share that in your book. Maybe you can share the technique for our listeners, and also the insights and the science behind the power of the heart to guide us on pursuing the right path that would actually lead to more joy.
Yeah, so I appreciate that the doctor way you ask that, and then the joy way you ask that, so and the strategy way. So three things: doctor, joy, strategy. I can hear all three. And then with the book, I've tried to blend science and love and risk and connectivity and patterns into one book. So like science through consciousness, if that's a good way to describe it. So with the heart specifically, it's Heart Math Institute, other places, the heart's actually far more powerful than the brain is. And then the heart has many little brains within it. And that actually sends far more communication to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. That's been proven by science. So if you want to look at it strictly science, great. From a visionary perspective, true visionaries have both high IQ and high EQ. So intelligence quotient and emotional quotient. And I have found the high IQ, lower EQ folks. So you'll see a lot of that in you'll see a lot of that in medicine or finance or law. It's just pure logic, numbers, money, finance, which is fine. But there's like no heart there. There's no heart. There's certainly no thinking past your own lifetime. It's just pure strategy, which is also fine. But the true visionary has both. They have the big heart and the big brain. And if you have a big heart without the big brain to mechanize it, so you'll see like a small nonprofit or hippie singing Kumbaya, which is also fine. But the true visionary has both. They have the high IQ and the high EQ, and it's very rare. It's very rare to have both. I'd venture to say a true visionary, maybe 1 out of 1,000 humans, and then most people think that's a small number. But if there are 8 billion people or so, that's 8 million. So there's 8 million, I think, and it's probably less than that, but we'll just say 8 million true visionaries.
Great. And when we're talking about relationships, I know in your book you refer to the +2
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
What does that mean, and how can people cultivate that in their lives?
Got to give credit. Got to give credit for the right people on that one. So I'll actually read what it means from the people who developed it. So co-founder Mark Fujiwara, he developed the term +2. Like he only seeks +2s in his life, and then there's a +2, +1, 0, -1, -2. But the only thing for him is +2s. And then one of our members, his name's Randy Molland. His company creates chief philanthropic officers within companies, which is that's a really good company. So he doubled down on it, and he created what he calls a +2 framework. So this is Randy Molland's +2 framework, and there are 6 qualities according to him of a +2 relationship. So I will read them slowly here. So 1 is listening more than speaking. 2, having a giving mentality without expecting anything in return. 3, high character and alignment. 4, prioritizing impact over income. 5, asking how can I help you? And 6, being excited about the opportunity to connect again. So you have the first 5, and then you're like, oh, I can't wait to talk to this person again, because more and more amazing things will happen from it. So, and then the key words from those 6 things that I've simplified are listening, character, opportunity, help, connect, impact, and giving.
Since you spoke about your partner, what are some of the key qualities that you look for when establishing a partnership? And I know you mentioned that because of COVID, you actually had very little face-to-face interactions
almost none
with your current partner. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that. What actually are the key drivers? And I connect back to what we were talking about earlier about that you let your heart guide you in that process. are there other characteristics or elements that let you guide you on the path to choosing the right partner?
It's a great question. I like to learn a lot about myself, because if you learn more about yourself, then you can learn more about others. And then I found if you're not a litmus test for people you serve, that's hypocrisy. So connecting visionaries to serve humanity, I'm a visionary serving humanity, and the way I really do that is by learning about myself through assessments and other things, and then conversations like this, and that helps me learn about others or see a pattern. You learn about others or see a pattern. And then in terms of the assessments, to answer your question, there are Gallup Clifton Strength Finders. There are 34 of them. Almost everyone I talk to, almost everyone is top 5 in ideation. So they're like idea, 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 idea. And I'm the opposite of that. I'm almost dead last in ideation, dead last. But the great thing about that, there are two great things. One, I call that a weakness, is an opportunity to find a collaborative strength. So collaborative strengths in my life are ideators, because they come up with the great ideas. And then my strength, because I'm solo in ideation, is I know gut wise, heart wise, I know immediately whether it's a great idea or not. And there are very, very few ideas to me that are truly great. But if they are great, I will know immediately. And then my top 3 are activate, maximize, achieve. So connecting visionaries to serve humanity, that's not a good idea. That's a great idea. Creating a company that connects visionaries to serve humanity, that's a great idea. That just came right from my heart, right from my gut. So activate, maximize, achieve. Writing a book about my journey and my father's journey and all these amazing other journeys about top visionaries, that's a great idea, gut, heart. And so write the book, let it manifest itself. And then very grateful Dr. Deepak Chopra's agreed to do an introduction for the book. So like it's a result of being super focused on one or two things, and then trusting your heart to know when it's truly the right idea or the right route. And then the other thing, to double down on the right route, is sometimes it's not the right route, but the wrong route always leads to the right route. That's called serendipity. It's what you're not looking for. You're looking for something, but it's actually what you're not looking for is what you were supposed to be looking for. So I will go down the route if I feel that it's the right route. And if it's the right route, great. And if it leads to a different route, which was supposed to be the right route, that's even better. So, but I trust my heart to do the right thing.
I love that. How
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thanks.
You spoke earlier about your two kids,
Yeah.
and I was curious to get your view on how parenthood has changed you, if at all. I know it has done for me.
Yes. Well, of course. Yes. So again, my dad was he was 61 when I was born. He was a great dad. He died when I was 13. So I know what that's like not to have a dad around. And our oldest son is 11, so that's only 2 years younger than I was when my dad died. So it's hard for a visionary to land the plane, because but like just realizing that's very, very important. But our kids are pure visionaries as well. They're bigger visionaries than I am, for sure. They've taught me more than I've taught them. I'm convinced of that. I'm just as convinced that they might have been my parent or an older brother in a past life. And so we talk about things like this on a daily basis. Some of their drawings are in the Epic Journey book as well. So yes, technically I'm their dad or their parent, but like I don't really believe in rules or anything like that. And my wife does, thank God. She believes in a lot of rules and order, but I don't really. And so the kids have a really nice blend, really nice mix of that. And I just love watching them operate in the human world, whether it's in school or sports, and then during our discussions as well about visionary life, and then how they have learned from both my wife and me, how we've been growing the company, and then stories within that. So they've gotten, to me, the greatest education imaginable, because most people don't even know this world exists, and our kids have really seen it since they were really, really little. So I'm very grateful for that.
How incredible. And what are your views on what would need to change within the education system that many believe is destroying genius that many kids have and that they exhibit in their younger years? Actually, within the years that your kids are at right now, what needs to change?
So thank you for asking that. So um, maybe this answers another question or two as well. But all I think about is connecting visionaries to serve humanity. So I don't think about 99 0.9% of the problems I think about, or the people, I think about the 0.1% that will solve the problems for everyone else and connecting them. So my purpose is to make the connection, and then let's see what happens with the connection. But I'm not here to solve the school system. So I don't really pay attention to that stuff or the law or finance or anything. All I care about is connecting visionaries to serve humanity and let people like that take care of every other problem. The problem I want to fix is connecting as many people like us as possible, because to me, that's the highest form of art, is making those type of connections, and then people like us will help everyone else. So if I do that purpose, then I can create the most impact.
Since you spoke about art, this reminds me of something you said about music in
Yeah.
your book.
Yeah.
And I'll quote you once again. You said, "A life to me is the sound of one's own music." I absolutely love that. And it continues, and you say, how people see the world, how they want to help. And I know you said that even the whole book in itself was an inspiration that was really just emerging on the screen or on the paper that you were using to write this book.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about the music that we each have within us to live more joyfully, because I absolutely love that.
Really appreciate you saying that. We all, music, gifts, we all have these gifts, and it's a disservice to me. It's a disservice not to share those gifts with the world or keep them a secret. Again, to answer an earlier question, there are no secret. Share your gift. Sadly, unfortunately, most people are afraid to share their own gifts. They play not to lose. I don't understand that, but that's what most of the world is. And then I look at music as that gift. The music is the gift, or the gift can be played out in like a musical. And I didn't put this in the book, but the way your brain processes things, and your heart, but the way your brain processes things, I think you'll appreciate this. When I started writing the book, and specifically that chapter 2, which is about music. And I didn't put this in the book, but I watched and listened to the movie Maestro with Bradley Cooper, and specifically the part where he led the orchestra and the choir in. It was a famous church. I don't know more details than that, but I watched that scene. Man, it had to be a 10-minute scene of just I mean, the most beautiful song. Just beautiful. So I watched that several times. If you notice, even though I'm staring straight ahead now, I don't usually stare straight ahead in an interview. And the reason why is because I'm trying to process my thoughts and feelings like an orchestra, or like a composer would compose a musical. So I'm trying to piece together notes or feelings in an answer, and to do that I kind of have to look around, and I can feel it. I can feel connectivity or music in space. I can just feel it in space. And then actually building things with my hands, it's really hard, if not impossible. Like tying my shoelace or putting on a bike helmet, it's really hard for me. Things that a monkey or a child can do is really hard for me. But again, weakness is a chance to find a strength, and then my strength, I can just connect these dots or musical notes in space, and then come up with an answer like this, or write a book, or make an intro on LinkedIn, or however that is.
Amazing. I also loved in your book how you have explored the origin of various words
Yeah.
that we commonly use
Yeah.
every day. And I was really laughing when you shared the origin of the word business and how it was actually sourced back to connecting to anxiety.
That's what it is. Whenever I hear people talking about that word, I immediately can hear laugh, or you can hear their voice go up an octave or something, or they talk faster. And it had bothered me for years, like my whole life. I'm like, why do people care about this so much? And every time they bring it up, or their business or their company or their business coach or scaling their business, I'm like, you can just hear the fear and the anxiety. And so I'm like, finally, I got tired of it. The gut said, I have to look this up. And so it comes from the word Beisignich, which means anxiety. That's what the word business comes from. The word sale means dull and dirty. That's the origin of that word. The word religion is binding. It's binding. This is not in the book, but I just learned mortgage. Mortgage means death grip. That's what it means. I mean, mort, M-O-R-T, duh. So you have all these words in a human construct, and people are saying them, but there's no awareness. And then awareness is very, very high on the scale of consciousness, Dr. David Hawkins' scale of consciousness. it's at like 700 out of 1,000, and almost no one gets to that level, like way less than 1%. So there's very little awareness of what these words mean, where they come from, and then you're like, oh, well, of course it means anxiety. That's what business creates, because that's literally what it means. It's just anxiety. So I don't even say the word unless someone brings it up, and I just say the word company or purpose, because people always ask, well, what do you say instead? I'm like, well, it's a company, or it's my purpose, or it's the people that I love. And it's not a business at all. It makes money, but it's not, to me, it's not a business at all. It's pure purpose.
I love that. And since you've spoken about the scale of consciousness by Hawkins, I've been using it with my kids since they
Of
were
course.
young,
Yeah.
and we are using the color codes.
Yeah.
And for example, if my daughter would see her brother who's younger angry, they would say, "Oh, he's in the red zone. He's in the red zone. How
Yeah.
do?" And the question would always be, "How do we get her back in the green zone or the blue zone?" And I was curious if you could share maybe some tips that you use on a daily basis when there's negativity or specific challenges, or maybe things do not necessarily go your way. How do you bring yourself back up to find joy and peace and harmony?
Everything to me is a pattern and a habit, and then the best patterns and habits become the best rituals. So like my life is finding the best rituals. First thing I do every day is read the prayer of I'll go here. Hold on, I'll go grab it. So my screensaver on my phone is the Prayer of Jabez. It's a really good book. And then the prayer. So it's my screensaver. I look at it all the time, and it's literally the first thing I do when I wake up. So that prayer is, "Oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil." So that's a pretty good way to start the day. And then every Monday through Friday on LinkedIn, I do what's called what I call a grateful journal. I'll include this interview in that, but what I'm grateful for that day. Again, at night, I now am listening to that video where 1 million people die every day. Be glad that you're alive. So that's a good way to end the day. And then again, Monday through Friday, my day is having conversations like this with the top thinking and feeling people on the planet, the ones who don't make excuses, and then they're helping everyone else. So it's just a constant dose of gratitude and learning from people like us. And then family wise, just have the best family. I mean, my wife runs the company. She's an amazing human being who's Harmony 1 in Strength Fighters, so she's pure harmony. And then our sons are just the greatest kids ever. I mean, they just are. So I guess to simplify all that, if you're constantly grateful and focused on the right rituals, then this other stuff kind of disappears. It's not like it doesn't creep in sometimes, but because the rituals are so positive and great gratitude filled, you're able to go back into that mindset and heart set much quicker when you're just constantly working on that at all times.
Wonderful. And Justin, what would you love your legacy to be in this world?
Well, when I'm alive in living body form, raise level of consciousness to the highest level possible, because that'll impact the most people. But and then from like an actual whatever you want to call the book, I was put on this planet to write the Epic Journey book for sure. The companies are great. I'm very grateful for that, but this book is a different. It's a different. There's just really. It's like a real life alchemist book or real life The Little Prince, and I don't say things like that lightly, but it's just what it is. It it's been very painful to write this. Risked everything to do it, and I just don't know if there's another choice to do something this powerful. So and I don't take the responsibility lightly, but I was given this gift to do this, so you have to do it. So that's just how it is, and I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to be able, while I'm alive, to have this book come out. So I'm very thankful for that.
Why do you say that you risked everything to write Epic Journey?
Oh well, you haven't finished it yet, but part of it is following my dad's map to France to unlock heart. And if I had a choice, saying go to France and never see anyone again, or not go to France and have my current life, I would have gone to France. So it was that level of commitment to it, and I got best of both worlds with that. But it was just a pure higher power commandment to do it, and then the result is what the book became, and it's that powerful at the end. I think I described it as nothing short of a miracle, which to me it is. And sometimes you just have to go all in on something like that. I've never gone fully all in on anything to that level, but for this, it was necessary.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. And although I have not yet finished the book, I'm so excited to finish it because I
Right.
absolutely love every single word and every single chapter that I've read until now.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Justin, any final words of wisdom that relate to finding more joy in our lives that you may wish to share with our audience?
Well, this is not going to sound like it's joy, but this is how I see joy. So my dad, World War II here, he kept a diary of his fighting experiences in the Battle of the Hürtgen Forest, German-Belgian border, just a horrible, horrific battle. And I found that diary after he died, and I took it. I took the diary with me to France because that was the map that I followed to go to France, the small town in France called Nancy, France. But one of the entries in the diary that's in the book, this is very graphic, very violent, just for those who get squeamish. But my dad watched his soldier friend die in a plane crash, and his friend's face was melted off, skull exposed, legs burnt to a crisp, stumped, all the clothes burned off his body. And this was on New Year's Eve, 1944. So watched his friend die in plane crash, skull exposed. They took the body eventually out of the plane, and then put it in a cemetery or whatever they had there, a makeshift cemetery. And then 20 minutes later, the commanding officer asked my dad and his soldier friend to. My dad was a bomb spotter on planes. So 20 minutes later, it's like, hey, can you do another mission? Go on another mission. And my dad and his soldier friend were like, yeah, of course, of course we'll do that. And so on New Year's Eve, New Year's Eve, right? Watch your friend die and then go on a mission where you easily could have died. And he was grateful to have that opportunity, and then was reflecting on New Year's Eve and then the year coming ahead in that. And to me, that's about finding joy, is not making excuses, and be grateful for the opportunities you have. Grateful for the opportunities you have while there's chaos swirling around you. So that's how I live my life, my joy-filled life.
Justin, thank you so much. It's been a true joy to speak with you today, and I'm very grateful for your time.
Thank you so much.